About the words of Maya Angelou lately. They may write me down in history with their bitter, twisted lies, trod me down in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Rising from the past of history's shame, out of the past of all the things that bring shame, I rise, I rise, I rise. We are gathered here in a historic place in historic times. Not the first to do a hard thing as we live through all the hard things, but we rise. One of the first major non-sports gatherings in San Francisco, as it ought to be. These quilts remind us of times when epidemics that don't yet have vaccinations fueled fear and made some people wonder if the things they proclaimed to tiny babies while sprinkling water on their head applied when they were adults. If you want to zone out for the rest of my talk, it applies to everyone. And we here in this place, Episcopal and Presbyterian and Methodist and all of the ecumenical partners here in San Francisco and around the globe responded to the AIDS crisis, silently showing up, acting up in streets, shouting with signs, demanding medications. We rise. We continue to rise. Lots of people will write stories about this. I don't know if you've seen the papers. But the real truth is that stories from so long ago that the papers have holes in them remind us over and over again that in the midst of fear and epidemics, even when those epidemics are poverty and mistrust of people of different types, that love can be an answer. It might take you to a cross. 3 days later, though, he rose. He rose. Inspiring us to do the same, echoing that throughout time and space. Our congregations through this great Sierra Pacific Synod have responded with love and gratitude, housing refugees in their own homes, rebuilding places when fire just took it away, marching to end racism, still marching to end racism, committing to learn more, to banish racism from every speck it clings to, and then sweep the floor, and then hose the floor, and start again. You are people who rise. You got up this morning when it was too hard for others. You put on fancy outfits. Many of you climbed about 100 stairs. And as the incense rose in this space, you knew God's up to something. Not because I sit here with a bigger hat now, but because courageous people voted a new way. Behold, a new thing is happening. But because when I say, can I come visit you all the way out in Elko, they say, yes! Let's have a party and an installation. My call is one, yes, to be up to the same messy, loving things I was up to before, as you may have noticed if you saw gum on the bottom of my shoe while I was kneeling. Probably still going to be up to some of that. But mostly, if you'll let me, and I think you will, my hope is to love you. And beyond that, to love what you love, which means when I come, I'm going to spend 20 minutes looking at your quilt squares and at the community garden and at the brand new pulpit, at the solar panels on the roof, at your children's pictures, and all of the things that inspire joy in your communities, regardless of how big, regardless of how small, regardless of how much you give, or if you don't. But give, I guess I'm supposed to say that now, right? The good news is that we're Lutherans, right? Even if I screw it all up, God shows up. Even if you screw it all up and like it, God shows up. So let us be people who do the best we can, and when it gets hard, we'll rise.